Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Inside Voice Podcast. Welcome in and welcome back to season 2 of the Inside Voice Podcast. I'm so excited that you're here. You know, the first couple of weeks of this podcast, if you haven't caught up, go binge, would love that. But we talked a lot about starting again, which is exactly what I'm doing with this podcast. And so I wanted to encourage you to start again. Whatever it is that you were chasing before that fell by the wayside for whatever reason, valid reasons, I will say, it's time to pick it up again. It's time to chase those dreams again. It's time to pursue the life that you truly want. For some reason, it's like, if we didn't make it the first time, well, we'll never make it, you know? And I don't want you stuck in that rut. And that's what I'm doing with this podcast. We're back. We're doing it again. It's another season. And I will admit to you, I am feeling pretty jazzed about today. I'm excited to be here and hanging out with you. I'm coming off a vacation, I'll be completely honest. And anytime you can just get away for a little bit, I feel like it's such an inspiring thing. If you've got PTO on your calendar, this has nothing to do with what we're going to talk about today. But if you've got vacation days, if you've got time that you can use to take a vacation from your work, do it, okay? Getting away from your job, getting away from your 9 to 5, getting away from maybe the place that you're at all the time, you know, whether that's your office or that's at home, the city that you live in, the neighborhood you live in, just get away for just a little bit. I'm not telling you to run away from everything, but I think there's something to be said about shaking things up a little bit, you know, putting yourself in a different environment, putting yourself around different people, different cultures, if you can, a different country. It's exciting, it's thrilling, and I think it's so good for our brain. I know in the past on this podcast, we've talked about novelty and how that is just so stimulating for your brain. I think it really helps when it comes to creativity and ingenuity and, you know, just kind of coming back to things with a fresh perspective. And so my husband and I did that with some friends, got away, got out of the country. I spent more time in salt water than I have in a very, very long time as we were out on the ocean and just enjoying some beach and island life. And it was so good. It's to me, the water is just, it's therapeutic. And that's a whole nother thing we could talk about, is how great, you know, being out in nature and specifically around water is. But you know, just that break, just that novelty, being around friends, being in a different environment, being around new people as well. There were people on our trip that we didn't know very well, but getting to know them, all of that, it's what life is all about, you know? And it really did have me coming back with a new energy. So all that to say, if you have vacation, please take it. And somehow, some way, just shake things up. Don't take vacation just to sit at home and watch Netflix, okay? Although that would be nice. You can finally catch up on all your shows. One of the things that I came back to, and at the time of recording this podcast, we are in the midst of loss in pop culture, loss in the music world and the sports world. Two pillars in what I would call pop culture passed away. At the time of this recording, as we're doing this podcast, we lost Ozzy Osbourne and Hulk Hogan within a matter of days of one another. Both of them in their 70s. I want to say that Ozzy was 76, Hulk Hogan 71. I know that there were health issues with Ozzy. Hulk, man, that one shocked me. And I think the early reports were saying cardiac arrest. I know that he has had so many surgeries after his wrestling career, but you know, regardless, both of those losses, very big, very monumental. And when you think about both of those individuals, whether you were fans of them or not, or cared, they're both pillars in their craft, in their fields. You know, you think of Ozzy Osbourne and this long, storied career in rock and roll, and even the success that he had in America, you know, was huge. And then you think of Hulk Hogan, I mean, a pillar in wrestling, but also in pop culture. I mean, when I was a kid, he was everywhere. We saw him in commercials. We saw him with cameos on television shows. We had the figurines growing up. He was such an icon and continued to be an icon. And obviously, both of those men had very unique styles, very big personalities as well. And honestly, I look at those two and I feel inspired by them. I wasn't like a Black Sabbath fan, still not a Black Sabbath fan. That is not necessarily the music that I listen to. And I wasn't like a huge wrestling fan either growing up. But I will say that I admire and respect them for showing up and just chasing after a vision and a dream that they had. And when we think about their long storied careers, I think that's one of the things that made them so successful. This podcast is the Inside Voice podcast. And a big part of that is finding out who we are and not being afraid to let that person out, seeking out who God has made us to be, seeking out what God has laid before us, what our purpose is in life, what our passions are in life, and going out and living a life that is fulfilled. And you think about Ozzy and Hulk, they did that. And I'm pretty sure, as they got older and they approached older ages and even got into their 70s, I think that they were looking back more than they were looking forward and thinking, man, what a life. I like to envision them just having these conversations with loved ones or even just with themselves thinking, that was really the life that I lived. And oftentimes I think that we get stuck in the beginning stages of it, that we forget about how rich and wonderful that life could be toward the end. This is crazy, but I'm hoping that you would do this exercise with me. It's something that I've actually been thinking a lot about after, reflecting on the loss of these two individuals. It's so easy for us to think of them as like who those characters were. We think, oh, that was Hulk Hogan. Like he was this larger than life person. It was almost like he wasn't real, and Ozzy Osbourne, this larger than life character on that stage that, that's all he ever was just that character. But at the end of the day, they were people. They were kids at one point with a dream. They were young guns, like just getting started in music or in the world of wrestling and unsure of what that was going to look like. But every day taking a step further and taking another step closer to those dreams. And even when they were in their dreams, they were still innovating and imagining and creating. And that honestly is what gave them such storied careers, in my humble opinion. So what I want to do, and what I really started thinking about these last couple of days, is how often, and I even told you to do this like a couple weeks ago, how often we cast a vision for what we want in the future, and then it never happens. And I think maybe we can try the reverse. As I think of Ozzy and Hulk looking back at their lives, what stories they have to tell. You know what I mean? And for so many of us, we're excited to live life forward, and we're casting a vision of what we want in the future, and we're dreaming about what could be. But the problem is we get stuck at that starting point. We get stuck at the dream casting part, and the vision only ever stays a vision. It only stays as like images that have been cut out and put on a vision board. You know what I mean? It only stays our dreams. It never actually becomes a reality. And sadly, that's the case for so many people. And that ultimately puts us at the end of our lives with such regret. We look back and we're like, oh, I wish I wouldn't have been so hesitant then. I wish I wouldn't have been so shy or scared or nervous or anxious. I wish I would have just stepped out of my comfort zone and tried. And so I want you to think about the things that you want in life, but from the perspective of you've already lived them. Now, I know that there is value to writing down your dreams, writing down the things that you want in your life as if they've already happened. It's almost like you're writing a contract to yourself and you're like signing on the dotted line saying, this is what has happened in my life. And there's something about that triggers in your mind to do it. And oftentimes it's easier to work things in reverse. And so when you've already stated what has happened, the vision of how to make those things happen kind of becomes a little more clear. It's like hindsight's 20/20, right? So we're going to give ourselves that hindsight vision right now. I want you to take a second. if you're not driving, if you're not around other people right now, if you can, just close your eyes and think about yourself at the age of 99. Not quite 100 yet, but 99. And you're sitting on the front porch of your home. You might be living on another planet at that point. I don't know. With the way tech and travel is going these days, it could be a possibility. There might be an opportunity to live on another planet. But regardless, you're on your front porch and you're thinking about your life. And maybe on this front porch, you've got one of your kids with you, or your grandchildren, or maybe you've got other loved ones, or maybe you're that person in the neighborhood that the kids come and visit because you tell great stories. And so they're there and they're all surrounded around your rocking chair and you're just rocking back and forth, telling stories from your life. What are those stories about? What do those stories sound like? What emotions do those stories evoke? What kind of stories are you telling the next generation? So when I did this exercise, I didn't have a lot of specifics. I mean, obviously, like there are things that I want to do in my life and that's a part of it, but really it was the nature of the stories that I was telling that really stuck out in my mind. It's this idea of sharing stories about how I took a risk when I really wanted to stay in my comfort zone. Stories of the adventures that I had because I was willing to get out of my comfort zone and maybe travel to another country or try a new food or, reach out to somebody on social media and cultivate a relationship with them. The adventures that we had. I think about the stories that I would tell of the times that I failed, the times that I fell down and something didn't work out, but I got back up and I tried again. And maybe I tried in a different way, or I went a different route, or I learned that that wasn't for me, but this was. Those are the kind of stories that I want to tell when I'm 99 years old, sitting on that front porch in my rickety rocking chair, hopefully with my husband by my side, and just, sharing those words and those stories and that wisdom with the next generation. I want you to think about the stories that you're going to tell. To me, that is so incredibly inspiring. Sometimes when we work from a place of fear of like, well, I don't want to regret this. I'm so afraid I'm not going to live the life that I want. And I'm going to get to the end of it. And I'm going to say, oh, I should have done this. When we think too much about that, it prevents us from moving forward because we're paralyzed by that fear. But if we can evoke different emotions of excitement and wonder and joy and this idea of reminiscing on a life fulfilled, that to me, those warm fuzzies, the cuddlies that I get thinking about that to me is more motivating and encouraging than the fear aspect, the regret aspect of it. So what stories do you want to tell? Do you want to tell stories of resiliency, humor, and curiosity? Because those are things that I want to tell stories about. Those are the stories that are going to stick out in my mind, hopefully, when I'm 99 years old. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to spit a hard truth. Those stories are not going to come by you sitting at home and watching Netflix. Those stories are not going to come by you scrolling on social media day in and day out for hours and hours and hours. Those stories are not going to come from you playing small. Those stories are going to come from you trying, from you creating, from you taking risks, from you reaching out to others, from you pouring into other people, from you, showing up and serving. That's where those stories are going to come from. Please don't waste your life watching Netflix. Please don't, I'm sorry, Netflix is going to kill me for saying that so many times. Don't waste your life watching other people live their life, whether it's a scripted show, a reality show, social media, whatever it is. You're going to have to get out of your comfort zone. You're going to have to get interested in something. You're going to have to get out of the house. I'm telling you, I work from home. I'm recording this from home. It's very easy for me to get comfortable at home because I'm very independent, but also like I can imagine a lot of things and enjoy life by myself. Like I'm very content being by myself. But getting out of the house and like I said, whether it's a vacation or just trying a new coffee shop or reaching out to a friend, whatever it is, just getting out of that environment that you're stuck in every single day, that you see every single day, is so paramount in you creating a life that is wonderful and beautiful and filled with such color. But I'm also going to tell you, it has to come from you. I know I have a lot of people in my life, and I am one of them, where we feel like life starts when somebody else sends the invitation, when somebody else reaches out, when something pops up on our feed that we feel drawn to. Like we're waiting for that inspiration, we're waiting for that motivation to show up, when we forget that we can create it ourselves. The joy that we want in life, the things that we want to experience in life, the dreams that we want to chase, start with us. It's got to come from you. It's got to start with you. Otherwise, like, it's going to fizzle and die when those invitations don't come anymore, or you feel disappointed and it's like, well, I showed up to this thing because this person told me to do it and blah, 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 blah. It's so easy for us to just throw things to the wayside, maybe those things that you're beginning again with, because we were relying on somebody else to make it happen for us. These are some hard truths, but like, no one's going to do it for you. No one's going to save you. No one's going to make a path for you. Sure, there's some, paths out there that have been created by others that can be inspiring for you, and maybe you can walk the same path, but it's going to be different because it's you on the path. You know what I'm saying? No amount of time is going to bring us back to the way things used to be. I think sometimes we don't try new things or get up and get moving and cultivate what we want in life because we're waiting for it to feel familiar again. This is a big thing post-COVID that I think a lot of us are experiencing, post-pandemic. It's like, for whatever reason, we've got it in our minds that one day we're going to go back to 2019 and we're going to be able to redo everything the way that we want. We're going to get those years back. I hate to break it to you, but we're not. Those years are gone. They weren't great. They were awful. And for so many of us, they were painful and they set us back. And we feel like we've never been able to get our footing again. But that's just a season. That's just a chapter in our lives. And it's time to turn that page. It's time for us to get back out there and live life the way that we want. So stop waiting for everything to align. Stop waiting for that familiarity or that person that you used to be to show up again. You're not the same person. Let's face it, 2020 and the years that followed, they've shaped us. They've changed us. They've given us new perspectives, and in ways, there's ways that those years hurt us, but there's also there's ways that those years, there are ways that those years, can I say the words right? There are ways that those years did good for us and cultivated compassion in us, or intrigue, or curiosity, or resiliency in us. I think we need to tap into those things. And I think we need to stop waiting for somebody to come to us and be like, hey, you can start your life again, right? Yeah, you should do that. Yeah, you're okay. Like, we're good. We're moving forward. We got to stop waiting really for anything. Just being on this vacation and then coming back and seeing people like Hulk and Ozzy pass away, it was like, what kind of life do I really want to live? And I want to pose that question to you as well. What kind of life do you really want to live? So that when you are at that older age, you're looking back at a life that you're dang proud of and you can't wait to share with other people. I don't want to be the person that's, talking about Instagram memes or this person I saw on TikTok. Like, I want to get out and explore and enjoy and, be curious and be adventurous. And I want to encourage you to do the same. And I think one of the ways that we're going to have to do that is we're just going to have to let go of some things that are holding us back, some things that are hindering us, those weights that are on us right now. In the Bible, I think it's in Hebrews, don't quote me on this. This is just coming to me right now, but it talks about laying aside weights that hinder you and hold you back and running the race with endurance. And there are things in your life that are holding you back. They could be really big things, like maybe like we talked about with the pandemic. You're still thinking like, oh, one day I'm not going to feel that weight anymore. You got to let that weight go. It could be little things that you don't even know are holding you back until you step out of them, Scrolling on social media feels very comfortable. It feels very it feels almost therapeutic, like you can get on social media and find entertainment, you can find laughter, you can find, like I said, comfort, you can find motivation, you can find a lot of good things, a lot of good things that feel good. You can also find things that may not be good for you, but they feel good. People doom scroll because it either validates some feelings that they're having or it makes them feel better about their life. But at the end of the day, it's not serving them. And so I want to encourage you to let that go, lay that thing aside. One of the things that I love to do, I don't do it often, I probably should do it more, but I love like cleaning out my closet. Again, it's one of those things like I have to be in the mood for it. But when I do like a good purge of old things that I'm never going to wear again, yeah, there's a slight part of me that's like, oh, but one day it might come back in style. But if I go at it with the right attitude of like, this no longer serves me, Marie Kondo, it no longer brings me joy, or this attitude of like, gosh, this has been sitting here and somebody else probably would have gotten a lot of joy out of this, a lot of wares out of this. There's something about purging that stuff that is so motivating and inspiring. And it's almost like getting rid of the clutter and getting rid of the weight and simplifying opens up so many possibilities of what could be, opens up so many opportunities of what could be. So I want to encourage you to start thinking about the things that you can just lay aside right now so that you can open up room for more things. New items of clothing, new accessories, new things that maybe serve you better now, things that you can put on, as we are continuing with this closet clothing reference, like things that you can put on that feel more like you, that feel more like this is the person that I'm becoming, or this is the life that I'm chasing. But you got to get rid of that old stuff before you can do that. And I think when we look at these pillars in entertainment or social media, these people that have had these long storied careers, these people that are famous, these people that are larger than life, I think that's one thing they've gotten really good at. They've had a vision of what they were chasing, but they weren't afraid to try something over here or try something over there. Okay, it didn't work. All right, we don't have to worry about that anymore. Oh, maybe it just didn't work the way we wanted. So now we can steer a little bit this way. They were able to explore and create, and it ended up being this beautiful life that you lived. Maybe some of the things that you need to let go of are time that you've lost. Start now. Don't think about the past. Don't think of what you should have done in the past or what you could have done in the past or how much further along you should be now. Maybe we can let go of those limiting beliefs that have been placed on us, from other people that have just, made us feel like we don't deserve the life that we want, or we can't do what we have set out to do because nobody's ever done it before. Nobody in our family has ever gone to college, or nobody in our circle has ever, stepped out and tried this new career path, Like, let that go. Believe in yourself. Believe that you can do it. At the end of the day, it's your life. Maybe we need to let go of expectations that we've put on ourselves. We have decided that we should be this or should be that. And it's like, why? Why do we have to be that? Maybe we can give ourselves a little grace and maybe try some new things and explore a little bit more and be creative and understand that, maybe we think we should be further along at this point in our life, or we should have done more, or whatever it is. Lay those expectations aside and just meet yourself where you're at right now. I want to encourage you to go back and listen to the Begin Again series, because I feel like this is really like a summary of those episodes, but also I think it gives more context to those episodes as well. I'm obsessed with this idea of sitting on my rocking chair and thinking about what stories I will tell. I'm a storyteller, I'm a broadcaster, I'm a podcaster. I love country music, which is like a big storytelling genre. It's known for the way that it tells stories in the lyrics. And I just think about, I'm writing a book as well. I'm also a storyteller in that way. And I think about, a memoir that I'll write one day. What am I going to fill those pages with? I actually have a friend, she told me she's reading Bossy Pants by Tina Fey. And I read that book so long ago, but I remember the stories that Tina tells. She tells a story about how she got the scar on her face. She tells a story about, this improv group that she was in Chicago, and that's where she met Amy Poehler. And she tells the story of, pitching 30 Rock and how she basically told them that Alec Baldwin was already going to be a part of it, but he hadn't committed to it, didn't even know that the show existed, I remember those stories, and I think, gosh, I want to tell stories like that one day. And I've got some stories to tell, don't get me wrong, but, more stories to tell. And that starts, those stories one day start now. It starts with me creating and fostering those stories right now. And I want to encourage you to do the same. And I'm going to let you in on a little secret. It's scary. I'm scared too, because it's the unknown. It's stuff that maybe I've never done before. It's stuff that, I might find myself in positions of just putting it all on the line, but that's what makes life. And at the end of the day, we get one shot at this. Like we talked about earlier, we're not going to go back to a pre-COVID. We're not going to go back to our childhood. My husband has a reunion coming up for his high school. Like, we're never going to go back to high school. We're never going to go back to college. We don't get to get it all figured out and then go back and redo it again. All we can do is just pick up where we're at right now and put one foot in front of the other and start moving toward a life that is just going to be so beautiful and rich and wonderful. And so I want to encourage you, wherever you're at right now, put aside the weights that are holding you back from the past. Put aside even the crazy expectations that you have for yourself in the future, and just start making those little moves right now to a life that you truly want to live. A life that could be larger than life, like some of the people that we've talked about today, like Hulk Hogan and Ozzy Osbourne. I truly believe that there is a really beautiful, intriguing, fulfilled version of life and version of you that is waiting for you to just get started right here and right now. So go get it. Stop waiting for it to just fall in your lap. Instead, get moving, get going, go make it happen. I'll see you next week.